Welcome to the Daily Devo, and today we're talking about choosing to rejoice in your spouse. Our verse for today has some truth, not just for marriages, but for all relationships. So let's dig in. We're in Proverbs 5:18. Let your fountain be blessed, and rejoice in the wife of your youth. Marriage can be hard. Close relationships like siblings, parents, roommates, and some coworkers or bosses can be tricky. When you spend 24 hours and 365 days with another sinner fallen from the glory of God, it's challenging to choose to rejoice in them. The verses after this, in the Message paraphrase, explain to not take love for granted. Why would you trade enduring intimacies for cheap thrills, so to speak? I have noticed in my own marriage the need to keep my husband in his proper place. Choosing to rejoice in him means not choosing to rejoice in others. Choosing to watch who and how I talk to other people. Can you imagine getting together with your best friend, telling them a big secret, and then as soon as they leave, they share it with some stranger barista at a coffee shop? There's a lot of things there to dissect, but let's focus on the lack of honor and respecting of that significance of your relationship with them, your best friends. And they threw that away of a secret to share it with some stranger. God didn't design all relationships to have the same level of intimacy and closeness and trust. Look at the Trinity. These are God's besties. Jesus and the Holy Spirit are his ride or die, his number ones. They share so much, but they still have boundaries and distinctions between themselves. Then there are other relationships God has. He has his angels and heavenly beings and surrounding him. But then on earth, he has his children. And then there's the rest of the world who doesn't know him as the creator and father that he is to us as believers. In your life, rejoice in your most precious relationships, but don't give away the trust and honor that those relationships yield and deserve. If you're married or getting married, I'd encourage you to take stock of any situations or relationships in your life that could compromise you keeping your spouse in their rightful place. A big phrase my husband Cameron and I have, especially when we were engaged, was "You're my number two." It's even on his wedding band. And that is a submission that God is number one for each of us. But after that, we are always each other's number two. Is anyone sitting in that number one or number two spot that shouldn't be? How do you talk about your spouse when you know that they won't hear how you're talking about them? Are you rejoicing in them conditionally? Is your honor of them consistent? Choose to rejoice. And if you're not married, honor the relationships and the significance they hold. But remember, just as God has boundaries between who he is and what he does, and who Jesus is and what he does, and so forth, you can honor your relationships through honoring your boundaries. Keeping friends in their proper places, family members in their proper lanes, keeping bosses and coworkers, keeping boyfriends and girlfriends too. Just as there are boundaries in marriage, the most intimate, sacred, human-to-human relationship there is, you can rejoice more when you honor the significance of the relationships and keep them in their proper place, and not invite others into those significant spaces foolishly. If you struggle with having boundaries, there's a great book by Dr. Henry Cloud and Townsend called Boundaries, or I'd recommend ask God for wisdom. He always gives us wisdom when we ask. And try reading a chapter of Proverbs a day for a month. Rooting for you. Thanks for watching the Daily Devo.